Well, it seems like you guys enjoy these NFL Draft Q&A videos. I enjoy doing them. And again this week, there were enough questions where I'm going to split it up into two parts. This is part one. Part two will come up soon after. So if your question that you asked on Twitter did not get answered in this video, it may very well have gotten touched on in the next one. So just everybody do yourself a favor and check them both out any damn ways, all right? All right. Let's go ahead and get started here. Bino Sports kicks us off. Who was the worst prospect that you ever scouted? I don't know if I could remember a worst prospect ever. I don't know if I ever put aside a mental note and said this guy is so terrible that he is so bad that there is no way in the hell he is a legit prospect. Singularly. There's groups of guys where you could say in every draft that people are talking about, and I'm like, there's no way. There's just no way. Worst prospect, I don't know. Can't really say. Stephen Hilton, thoughts on the Patriots trading up? Is it likely or is it not? I know there's been some reports talking about they might be wanting to trade up for a quarterback, and that quarterback would be maybe Josh Rosen. And I really have a hard time buying that one. One thing I referenced in a previous video, I'm going to reference again, is if Josh Rosen was so great, Jim Morrow wouldn't have gotten fired. And that is not solely the fault of Josh Rosen by any stretch of the imagination. But he wasn't even good enough to save his own coach's job. We're now expecting Bill Belichick, who has had arguably the greatest quarterback of all time in Tom Brady, under his leadership for almost 2 decades, would take that torch from Brady and pass it to Josh Rosen, who couldn't save Jim Mora's job at UCLA. And then some of the concerns about Josh Rosen being the epitome of the millennial generation and wanting to know why about everything. Do we really think that's the type of guy that Bill Belichick would want to deal with? I don't buy that rumor at all. The more interesting rumor might be the Lamar Jackson stuff. I have to say that intrigues me. I'm really uncertain right now about where Lamar Jackson's stock is. I think it's very volatile. There's a chance that somebody could trade up into the top 10 and take him, and there's a chance he could fall all the way out of round 1. And anywhere in between might be where he ends up. If they were to take a quarterback, would it be him? I don't know. Because, long term, you're looking at it, what type of quarterback would Josh McDaniels want? I still feel like this is a team that is trying to maximize their win-now window, and that's exactly what they should do. Worry about the quarterback stuff and the other things down the road. Right now, you got to worry about winning now because you are built to win now. So if I said trading up or not, maybe they would peel up from 23 a little bit to get somebody, but I don't think it's going to be a quarterback. They'd be just as likely to peel out of one or both of those picks. Specifically, 31 strikes me as something that they would peel out of than they would be to trade up. Matt Holtman asked, do the Colts take Derwin James at 6 and form one of the great, awesome safety duos in recent memory? Matt, I like your thinking. I know what you're thinking. You cannot BS me. Don't try to BS yourself. You are trying to sit there and find a logical path to Quentin Nelson getting to the Chicago Bears at 8. That is it. I know what you're up to. You're hoping somebody goes 6, then Bradley Chubb or somebody would be there at 7. I don't know if that's going to happen. You're just trying to figure out a way, like I am at this point, for Quentin Nelson to go to the Chicago Bears at 8. That's what this whole draft is all about. It's about, does Quentin Nelson make it to pick 8? And if you're the Bears, you pray to God he makes it to pick 8. And if you're a Bears fan, you pray to God he makes it to pick 8. So now you try to come up with scenarios and solutions to say, hey, this could happen. That's what you hope for. My best thought would be quarterback 1, 2, 3. Maybe the Browns love Bradley Chubb at 4. The Broncos take Saquon Barkley at 5. Somebody like the Dolphins or the Bills trades up where the Colts are at 6 and takes the 4th quarterback, which would probably be Rosen, which would then leave it all down to the 7th pick with the Buccaneers and whether or not they would like somebody like a Derwin James or somebody like a Denzel Ward. It's the Tampa pick that really scares me. It really, really does. God, I hope we start hearing some rumors that they really love Denzel Ward or Derwin James, because if they do, it's very likely Quentin Nelson ends up a Chicago Bear. But again, I see what you're doing, and I like what you're doing. No, I don't believe that. If anything, if the Colts then traded down, let's say to where Buffalo was at 12 or Miami was at 11, I would think somebody like a Roquan Smith would make a world of sense for them, a difference maker in their linebacking core, especially as they're transitioning to a 4-3. That would seem to be much more likely, especially if Chubb was off the board. Like, that's the thing, is that if the Browns take Chubb at 4, it starts this trickle-down effect where the Broncos probably take Barkley at 5 because they feel like they have to, and I understand that. And all of a sudden now the Colts are looking at it at 6. Now they've traded too far back in theory, where they've missed out on both Chubb and Barkley, whereas if they stayed at 3, they could have had either one of them. But they did what they had to do, and it was still the right decision. Now they're in a position where another quarterback, probably Rosen, is sitting there. Somebody can come up and go get him. Keep the dream alive. Quentin Nelson, number 8. Way to go, Matt. Vegan36. The Jags are picking in new territory. No crap. What's the best thing they can do? Best player available. Don't worry so much about needs or pressing needs, because your number one pressing need is the quarterback position still. But if you're going to do anything, you take best player available, and that falls where it may. Just stay true to your board, because over the past couple of years, the Jaguars have done a pretty good job when they've been sticking true to their board of getting some impact quality players. You look at that 2016 draft with first-round pick Jalen Ramsey, second-round pick Miles Jack, third-round pick Yannick Ngakoue. Then you look at last year's draft, 4th overall, Leonard Fournette was the perfect combination of need and big board for them. So just best player available. Clannon, should the Bears trade up for Bradley Chubb? No. They don't have a third-round pick, so to trade up to the point where it might take them to get Bradley Chubb might mean them giving up a second-round pick, let's say if they had to go up to pick 4 to do so. Or they would have to give up a 4th-round pick and then probably a 2nd or a 3rd next year. And I also have concerns about whether or not Bradley Chubb is the best natural fit for the Bears system. I love Bradley Chubb. He's my number 1 rated defensive player in this entire draft. But I don't know that I like him as much for the Bears. So no, they should not trade up for him. Roglocks. Thoughts on the Bears trading back from 8 and taking a wide receiver? It depends on how the board plays out. If Quentin Nelson is there at pick 8, then no. Hell no. But if Nelson goes 7 to Tampa Bay, the Bears are in business with that 8th pick. The question is, would anybody actually want to move up for anybody there? So I got to be honest, when I look at it, who would fall in line for them? Somebody like a Denzel Ward? I'm not that high on Denzel Ward compared to everybody else. Minkah Fitzpatrick, maybe? Same thing. Especially you're not sure if he's going to play corner or safety. So if Nelson's off the board, I'm open to it as long as it involves getting Calvin Ridley. I know that comes with the concern he'll be a 24-year-old rookie by the time his rookie season ends. He's not the biggest guy, but I know he can run routes like crazy, get tremendous separation, and make things happen after the catch. So I would be okay with that, especially if Nelson's not there at pick 8. It's Nelson or anybody's guess. Peter Jedra, why do you knock the Browns for passing on Deshaun Watson last year when you had a 3rd-round grade on him? That's a good question. That's a fair question to ask. The reason I do is you have to look at this at the entirety of everything. They passed on the opportunity to draft Deshaun Watson to get more picks again, when they had the previous year passed on the option to draft Carson Wentz in order to get more draft picks again. So sometimes it's not just sheerly about the raw grade, like with Watson and me having a 3rd-round grade on him. It's based off a circumstance, a situation. Quarterbacks naturally tend to rise a little bit in the process. Passing on Wentz, Watson was there. They had to take him, and they chose not to. Thankfully for him, they didn't. So that's why. You have to look at the entire picture, Peter. You have to look at the entire context of everything. Joseph Humphrey, where is the best fit for Dez Bryant? I feel like Dez Bryant fits best in a place like New England or Green Bay, somewhere with a established coach and more specifically an alpha male quarterback, because he can't sit there and tell Tom Brady that Tom Brady doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He can't tell Aaron Rodgers that Aaron Rodgers doesn't know what the hell he's doing. From a pure fit standpoint, you either want it to be a place like that or a place like Philadelphia, who has kind of an alpha male quarterback, but not totally yet in Carson Wentz, but more importantly, just came off of winning a Super Bowl. You're not going to tell them shit if you're Dez Bryant, because when it comes to your career and winning big games, you have not done shit. So it's one of those situations. The Jaguars. Now he opens up the situation of, well, Blake Bortles is the quarterback. But this is also a team that just went to the AFC Championship game and had a double-digit lead on the Patriots in Foxborough in the fourth quarter. Dez Bryant could come in there and make a little bit of an impact, a little bit of a difference, but he can't talk too much shit, because who the hell is Dez Bryant? Especially this current Dez Bryant. Derwin to DC. Keep that dream alive for Derwin James at pick 13 for your Redskins. How many trades happened on day one? And is Darius Geis a big reach at pick 13? Between now and actually April 26th, I'll just go with like 5 trades. 5. Somewhere in the middle of crazy and nothing happening. As far as Darius Geis being a big reach at 13, he would, in theory, be a bit of a reach, yes. But if the Redskins went that path, I would be okay with it, because it has been such a gaping void and need for their team over the past few years. And it would be a way, when you get a rookie running back, and especially if you get the right rookie running back, they can automatically play to themselves as like a top 10 or top 15 pick, even if their grading wasn't initially there. Geis at 13... if he can come in and be what you think he can be, and be a 1,000-yard-plus guy as a rookie, be the bell cow, be that 3-down feature back, then he is just as valuable as anybody else the Redskins could take at pick 13, and probably more so. Especially with bringing Alex Smith in the fold. You need a better running game than what they have. So I do not think Geis is a massive reach for them at 13 now. Marcel Wilson, has there ever been a multi-team trade at the top of the draft? Now, technically, multi-team trade would involve 2 teams, and we've seen all types of those over the years. But I'm being a smartass. I understand what you're asking about is specifically a 3-team deal. And some deals have worked out to where a team trades back and then trades back again, and that could kind of technically constitute as a 3-team deal. But the most notable one I can think of is in terms of a pure 3-team deal revolved around the 1999 draft, the New Orleans Saints, the Chicago Bears, the Washington Redskins. That's the one I can remember the most. The Saints are picking 12. Ditka says he'd be willing to give up almost his entire draft to get Ricky Williams, because he didn't understand the value of the draft pick charge, because he was freaking crazy, but he's also crazy because he remembered what Walter Payton meant for him, and he thought Ricky Williams was Walter Payton. So you had the Redskins at 5, the Bears at 7, if I remember correctly, and you had the Saints at 12. And you had all these moving parts that ultimately led up to the Saints moving all the way up to 5 to take Ricky Williams, the Redskins at 7 taking Champ Bailey, and the Bears at 12 taking Kate McCown. That's the most notable one that I can think of over the past 20 years. There might be another one that I'm just drawing a blank on, having a bit of a brain fart on, but in terms of like a pure, real deal 3-team trade, that's the one that always sticks in my craw. Because yes, the Bears got other picks in that draft that they were able to use on other players like Warwick Coleman, like Marty Booker. But it is the fact that they traded down to get Kane McDown that just blows the whole damn thing up. Well, that's the one I could think of here. All right, well, that is it for part 1 of this Q&A. Part 2 of the NFL Draft Q&A will be coming at you soon, so stay tuned.